Okay, good afternoon. This is Brian with NetPicks and Premier Trader University. Thanks for joining us today on our webinar, and we're going to be talking specifically about trading the top high-flying tech stocks for a fraction of the cost. We're going to spend a lot of time today on the charts and showing you the exact methodology that we use to trade options, and so be ready for that in just a few minutes from now. We've got our options specialist, Mike Rixey, with us on the call. He's going to be taking you through that part of the presentation today. So again, my name is Brian Short with NetPicks and Premier Trader University. We're going to go ahead and dive into today's presentation, trading the top high-flying tech stocks for a fraction of the cost. A little bit of procedural things before we begin. Feel free at any point to ask questions throughout. We've got Will on the call today and Ron on the call. In the background, they're going to be responding to your questions, and when time permits, Mike and myself will also respond directly to your questions. So feel free at any point to ask those, and then at the end we will open up for general Q&A. So with that, Mike, if you're on the mic, why don't you come in and say just a quick hello before we officially begin. Let us know how things are going in the market right now.
All right, hello everybody. Thanks again for taking time out of your busy day to join us here today. For me personally, I'm trying to catch my breath here this week. The market has been absolutely all over the place, and that's continued here today. So we'll get over to the charts here in just a bit. It's been very volatile, but it's been a very profitable stretch as well. So I'm going to show you how we've been handling the markets here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Mike. So let's get into the presentation. And just want to do a quick recap of what we're going to cover today. First of all, we'll talk a little bit about who we are here at NetPicks, a little bit of history on NetPicks. Then we're going to show you how you can trade options and some of the high-flying stocks options on the underlying stocks that we talked about here in the survey questions. We're going to show you specifics on how we're trading and prospering in the markets today. Some of the markets we will cover are Tesla, Apple, Facebook, and so forth. And we're going to show you that trading options can be rewarding and it can be fun. And bottom line, we will at the end here show you how you can get involved in the Options Mastery program and replicate our results. I do want to encourage you, for those that are on the live webinar today, we do have a special bonus for you at the end for the first 7 that do sign up. I do have to put a warning out that seats are filling up. This is the 3rd webinar in our series, and the class is really starting to fill up pretty nicely. We've got 35 seats available. So first, a little bit about NetPicks and who we are. We've been around quite a while in this space. We've been around 18 years, and we've had the opportunity in that time to train literally thousands of traders all over the world. And so this slide shows you the staff here at NetPicks. One of the things that I always like to point out is that we are real traders first. I can tell you that everyone on this slide is an active trader in some form or fashion. We each have our specialties. Today we're going to talk about options, and that's what Mike's specialty is. But each of us are active traders in the market. Mark Soberman, top left, is the founder of NetPicks. Again, my name is Brian Short. I'm in the top right. Mike is in the middle here, and he's going to be on in just a moment. And as I mentioned, we have Will and Ron on the call today helping with your questions. So first, a little bit about Mike. And the picture you see on the right here is a few years back, and we're joking a little bit here, but we kind of razz Mike that he's the youngster of the group. And way back when I first met Mike, he just was, just out of college, and even looked younger than that. He's got that look about him. And so obviously a few years have passed. He's now gotten married, and maybe a little bit less hair there than what you see in the picture with all the trading that he's doing. But anyways, we're just joking. But on a more serious note, Mike became interested in options while he was in college, and that really sparked his path to where he is today. And like many of us, he found success in options in the very beginning trading earnings releases. Found that that was very profitable and actually did very well. But after a period of time, he ended up giving it all back as it didn't work the way it was in the very beginning. And he really decided at that point to dig into options and discover everything there was to know about options and how he might use that tool and that market to be profitable as a trader. And it was at the beginning of that journey that he discovered NetPicks, and like many of us here, became a customer of NetPicks and learned some of the methodologies that we use at NetPicks specifically to trade the markets, and then he applied that to options. And that's what you're going to see here in just a moment. I mentioned we're going to spend a lot of time on the charts today. You're going to see the exact approach that Mike uses in his options trading each and every day. Now, Mark does dabble in other markets and types of trading, futures and so forth, but if you had to give him one way to trade, hands down, it would be options for him. He would throw everything else out the window. So again, he is our options specialist here at NetPicks. So I want to talk about a few points here over the next number of slides. And the first one is options have been around for a very long time. Many other types of trading have come into vogue, so to speak, and gone out. Forex trading, for instance, E-minis back in the early 2000s were very popular. Before that, full-size E-minis. And then even stock trading back in the mid-90s was very, very popular. Options trading has been around a very, very long time, and really hasn't changed that much. And the thing that I'm going to point out here in a moment is the liquidity and the amount of volume that goes through in options on a daily basis gives us as individual traders the opportunity to be very successful. And that's, as traders, one of the things we look for in any market that we want to trade is that liquidity. So let's talk about that a little bit. In 2013, on the CBOE, there were 1.15 billion contracts traded. Average daily volume of 4.5 million. Do you think as a small trader we can get involved in that kind of liquidity and be successful? The answer to that is yes. If you look at the average transaction size that we have noted here, 18 contracts, that's a medium-sized trader. That's not a small trader. And that's up 29% year over year. This chart shows you some of the high-flying stocks that we're going to talk about today. At the very top there, you're going to see Apple. And on an average basis, average daily basis, 100,000 option contracts are traded. Do you think you can be, again, successful as an individual trader trading a single contract on Apple when there's 100,000 other individuals that have placed trades on the day? The answer is yes. And even if you go down to the very bottom here, Qualcomm in position 30 has 7,500 contracts traded on an average daily basis. So again, these are some of the high flyers that we're going to talk about. Obviously not all of them, but again, we're going to go to the charts here in just a moment and show you how we can trade some of these stocks with options. Now, the one last thing I want to point out to you here, we kind of mentioned this in the survey questions. You have a choice here. You could trade the actual real stock. And what it would take to trade some of these high-flying stocks like Google, to trade 100 shares of Google, $53,000. Amazon, 100 shares of stock, $30,000. Priceline, $110,000. And Netflix, $44,000. Your minimum account size to trade the underlying stock is $25,000 because you'd be classified as a pattern day trader in this case. And that's the minimum. You'd actually need a little bit more than that. That's the minimum your account can get down to. All right? But don't worry. With options, you don't need that size of an account. You can start much smaller. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to take us through some of the charts that have had active trades today, and he's going to show you the methodology and the approach that he uses day in and day out for all of his options trading. So Mike, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Brian. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screen up. Just give me a quick second to get that up. So you should be seeing my screen at this point. So again, welcome in everybody. We're here to talk about options today. My favorite topic to talk about by far. I love the financial markets. Like Brian mentioned, I've done day trading, I've traded futures, I've traded Forex, I've basically traded every possible product out there. I always seem to come back to the option space because that's where I see the most consistency. That's where I see the best returns over a long period of time. You can see hot markets pick up and then they kind of fall off the cliff. We've seen Forex get very popular. It started to die off a little bit. We talk about binary options at times. Those have started to become popular. You get these new products that they develop that kind of come and go, but the option space just it continues to gain in popularity. We just talk about the volume numbers. The volume numbers continue to improve. They've just actually exploded here the last couple of weeks. So it makes it very easy to get in and out of trades. It also makes it very easy to scale an account size. We're going to talk about that here more in just a bit. If you're somebody with a small account size, this is going to be a perfect place to start. If you're somebody that has more money to work with, not a problem. We can scale our account and trade larger contracts. And in fact, I'll take that a step further. It's probably the easiest space to scale an account. You know, when you trade some of the futures markets, which I've done in the past, there's certain markets where there's just not a ton of liquidity there. It's very difficult to get filled on any type of significant size where you're really not limited on the option side of things. And that's really powerful as you continue to grow your account. So we'll get over to the charts here in just a second. A lot of really great examples to look at. We've been extremely active, which is no surprise. The market's been on a wild ride here the last couple of weeks. I always like to talk about this slide when I speak because I really think it's important for you as a listener to kind of get a feel for what type of trader I am and what I'm looking to accomplish. This framework that I'm going to talk about over the next couple of minutes, it really shapes what I try to do. Whether it be the type of product that I trade or the type of system I use. Everything comes back to these 4 bullet points. Number 1, the time aspect. I don't have all day to stare at the charts. Even if I did have the opportunity to, I probably wouldn't do it very often. Okay, I'm the type of person that's on the go all the time. I don't have all day like that. I like to get in and out in 20 minutes a day or less. I like to get in, get my trades on, and then move on with my day. So for those of you that may have a full-time job or you've got family commitments, if you're retired, there's really no need to sit in front of the chart for hours on end staring at every tick over a long period of time. Now, for 20 minutes, that may sound like a stretch to some of you. I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use in my own trading in order to accomplish this. Again, the time aspect, it's just huge for me. I'm a swing trader. I don't want to tie up my whole day staring at the charts. Next, the leverage. Brian already touched on this. We want to be able to take advantage of leverage products because on the retail side, I'm like you. We have access to limited funds. I would love to be a big hedge fund where you don't have to worry about that. But let's face it, with a limited account size, we have to make sure we're making best use of that capital. At the same time, I want to trade the high flyers. I don't want to be stuck trading penny stocks and trading the Forex markets because I have a small account size. I want to trade those popular products that a good majority of people trade. The consistency, I want to go ahead and get to know those, get comfortable with how they move. That way I can trade those names with confidence. Okay, and once you start to get a feel for those names, it makes it a lot easier to select the correct option strategy. It makes it a lot easier to get in and out quickly. And finally, the flexibility. We've seen this here over the past couple of weeks. We want to have the flexibility to play the market regardless of the direction. If we're in a bullish market, great. If we're in a bearish market, that's fine too. I've heard from a lot of people here recently that are frustrated because they're buy-side only traders. They can only make money if the market moves to the upside. But when we get into these stretches where we get that volatility to come back in and the market sells off, we want to be able to take advantage of that because that's where some of the powerful profits are at. Everything really starts to pick up on the downside. Our holding times really go down. We're in and out very quickly. We want to be able to take advantage of that. To take that a step further, we also want to be able to use strategies that will allow us to make money if the market gets quiet and into a sideways, choppy pattern. If we get stuck inside of a range, there are actually strategies that we can use that thrive from those conditions. It's the only financial product that you can say that about where you can make money in all 3 types of market scenarios. That's a huge selling point for me. I can't afford to go very long without making money. Okay, this is how I make a majority of my income. So when we get into those slow summertime months, I still want to have those strategies in place where I can scratch out a profit. Okay, very, very important. So I could go on, but really when we get over to the charts, you'll start to see that everything that I do, the charts that I look at, comes back to these 4 bullet points here. All right, so the topic today, we want to start talking about the high-flying tech names, and actually, we could probably take out the tech names part of that title. Okay, I just want to trade the high flyers, whether that be financial names or energy names. I want to trade those products that make really consistent swings back and forth. I want to trade the popular names that you hear all the time: Facebook, Twitter, Tesla. That's where a lot of the activity is, and I want to be able to take part in those moves for a fraction of the cost, which is what we're going to take a look at next. So we're going to start out with Facebook. To be honest, I hate the product. I hate using Facebook, but I love it as a trading vehicle. It's a very, very active vehicle. A lot of people looking at it. A lot of very liquid options available as well. So the chart that you're looking at, it's our active swing trader system. If you were able to join us, here earlier in the week, we talked about our reversal setup. And we mentioned that was one of 3 setup types that we take. We've also got a basic setup, and we've got a re-entry trade. Okay, and we're going to talk about the other 2 here today. Now, there's 2 big factors that make this system and this approach very different than anything else that you're going to see on the market. Number 1, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see that we're using a range chart. You see momentum bar 1, I'm circling it right there in the upper left-hand corner. That's what's called a range chart. For most of you, you're probably used to using a time-based chart. If we use a daily chart as an example, that chart's going to print a bar or a candle the end of every day. Okay, the problem with that approach, and we've seen it a lot here lately, especially on those large days where you see those 300-400 point swings back and forth. If you're using a system where you're waiting for the close of a bar or a candle to get in, well, by the time that bar or candle closes, you potentially have missed out on hundreds of points. We take a slightly different approach. You set the time aspect to the side. We're focused strictly on price action. So every one of these bars on this chart, doesn't matter which one I click on. It could be a bar back in September, or it could be a bar in today's session. The difference between high and low is always going to be $1. Okay, that could take 2 minutes, or it could take 2 days. The reason that's powerful, we're able to react quicker. We're able to get in and out quicker. So, and going back to that daily chart example, where you're potentially missing out on hundreds of points waiting for that bar or candle to close, we're able to get in and out during that same period of time because this chart reacts quicker. Now, on the flip side, if price action slows down, this chart is also not going to be forced to print bars. Okay, as a result, it's a built-in chop filter. It's not perfect, but what you'll see over time when you compare side by side a range chart to a time-based chart, you see a smoother look overall to a range chart. Okay, now why did I pick a range of 1? It seems like, hey, that's just a random number. Where do you come up with that? There's a formula that we look at once a month to give us the range setting that we should use on each product. It literally takes about 5 seconds to get the correct range setting, and it'll change on a monthly basis. That's really powerful because it allows the system to self-adjust to the changing conditions. As we get into the end of the year, if the volatility stays elevated like it is, if the ranges continue to expand, we have no problem bumping that range setting up. By the end of the year, we may be looking at 1.1 or 1.2 on Facebook as a range setting. Now all of a sudden the system works in all types of markets. It's not one of those systems that breaks down right when the market conditions change. Now the second feature that really makes us different, if you take a look at this chart, you're going to see a whole series of dots and plus signs. That's what we call our trade calculator. And we've programmed all of the criteria that we look for in a setup. We've programmed it into this calculator, and it prints the setups for us in real time. So now we know exactly when to get in and when to get out. No longer are we stuck staring at the charts, drawing trend lines, or using Fibonacci levels, or looking at key support and resistance levels, waiting for those levels to break in order to get in. We can come in quickly and take a look. Hey, if there's a setup on the chart, it's going to clearly be seen by the calculator. So all the hard lifting is done for us. Now, it's not a robot. Okay, you can't just flip on the switch and let it trade for you. It's going to identify the trades for us, but we still have to manually go in and take and manage the trades. But when you think about that, 95% of the hard work is identifying when to get in and when to get out. Well, we've already built the tool to make that a lot easier for you. Okay, so once all of our criteria is met, we're going to take a look at this setup back in September. We're going to look at all recent trades that were closed out. We're going to go back into September and work forward to the current chart, the price action from today's session. So on this short setup, okay, once all of our criteria was met, you're going to see the entry point represented by the cross here, the plus sign, whatever you want to call that. And then you'll see a series of green dots below. Those are our target levels. A series of red dots above. Those are our stops. Now, this is where it gets powerful because a lot of the buy side only traders, you get into a downwards moving market and they're stuck. There's nothing for them to do other than to sit on hands and wait for the next uptrend. Well, when we play the downside here, okay, we actually go in and we use put options. Okay, we're going to start out just by talking about buying long calls and long puts. So by buying this put option, in this case, I went out and I bought a September weekly 78 put, and I paid $232 per contract. What that does is it gives me control of 100 shares of Facebook stock at $78 a share. Okay, so if we move forward a couple of days and Facebook sells off $3-4, I have the right to sell 100 shares at 78. So essentially, for $232, we're controlling 100 shares of Facebook. I mean, that's that great leverage that we talked about. Okay, it's probably a pretty safe statement to make that we can all afford a trade for $232. Okay, now this one was just a textbook example. I wish I could say everyone was this quick and easy. We were in on the 15th, and we were out the very next day at full target. We sold out of our position, booked a $288 profit, 124% return. Okay, remember, this is one contract. Nothing says you can't go in and trade 5-10 contracts if your account size will allow you to. So all of a sudden, you can start to do that math in your head. That's a lot of profit potential in 24 hours time. Okay, if we move forward here, we actually got another short setup. This one wasn't as quick and easy. We didn't move straight down to target. We had to survive a couple of pullbacks in here. But our trade calculator had all of the levels identified for us. When we started to pull back here, there was no panicking. Okay, we had our stop in place. We knew exactly where it was. So we were able to survive the pullback, and eventually we got down and hit full target. In this case, we bought an October 79 put. Okay, and we paid $301 per contract to control the downside in Facebook. Once we went down, hit full target, we booked another $220 of profit to 73% return. Okay, now we were in on this trade. We were in on the 25th. We were out on the 10th. Okay, remember what I said back when I was walking through the framework of me as a trader? I want to get in and out in 20 minutes a day or less. So when I'm talking about 124% return, 73% return, we're talking about taking these trades just a few minutes each day. You're not stuck staring at the charts waiting for these levels to be hit. Okay, now in the first example, we talked about weekly options. Okay, that weekly put option that I bought, that gave me control of Facebook for a week. Okay, the second example, we talked about a monthly option. That gave me control of Facebook till the end of the month, till the expiration of that monthly cycle. Okay, we're also going to talk about some different types of trades here in a few minutes. This goes back to the flexibility of these products. Okay, we can be as aggressive or conservative as we want. Okay, you can really put your personal opinion into these setups, and that's why I love these products so much. Now, it's great to look at the winners, right? I mean, it's always fun to say, hey, that's a lot of profit there in just a few days. But let's be realistic. I mean, there's no perfect system out there. We're going to have losers too. And in fairness to you guys, I want you guys to see the whole picture. What happens when these trades don't work out? Well, we had a long setup. We all know how weak the market has been here the last number of days. We have not had any type of significant bounce at all. So the long trade that we got into, okay, this is back on the 13th, did not work out. Okay, we triggered in on the long side. We tried to buy a call option to control the upside. It flat out didn't work. We hit a stop. I took a $150 loss on that trade. That was a 60% loser on that call position. Okay, so now we've looked at 3 trades here, 2 winners and a loss. The biggest thing that you need to take away from this chart is that our winners are larger than our losers. We don't have to win 90% of the time like many systems do to be successful, because our losses, they're pretty small. Okay, we're able to recover pretty quickly. All it takes is one full winner and we've wiped out a couple of losing trades. Okay, for me, that's a huge confidence builder. A lot of times we feel the need to be perfect as traders. That's not the case with the active swing trader, because we can respond and recover so quickly. And now we're currently in a long setup, and we'll see how that plays out over the next couple days. See if we can get some follow through on the upside. See if we can finally get a bounce for once. Let's take a look at Twitter. Okay, another pretty popular social media stock. The social media stocks have been very, very active. First thing I will point out, this Twitter chart, okay, looks very similar to the Facebook chart, right? Okay, the indicators look the same, and we still have the trade calculator. I'm still looking at a range chart. Now we're looking at a range of $1.49. Again, we look at that calculation once a month at the beginning of the month, and it tells us exactly what range we should use for each product. Now, that makes sense, right? Because when we get over to a stock like Priceline, it's a $1,000 stock. We can't use the same range setting as a Facebook, for example. Okay, they're just two totally different animals, so we want to make sure that we're fine-tuned for the given product, whether it be a stock or an ETF. There's an exact range setting that we should be using for each one. So each bar in this chart, from high to low, represents $1.49. Okay, that has nothing to do with time. So this long setup that we had, once all of our criteria was met, let me scroll over here to get that on the middle of the chart. So you can see this long setup. This was actually, we're going to go back into August. We'll walk through to the current session here in a moment. So you can see once all of our long criteria was met, we got that long setup to print. Again, it gave our exact entry point, exact targets, exact stop. And in this case, we went in and we bought the September 44.5 call for $211 per contract. So again, $211, and we're controlling 100 shares of stock on the upside. Once that target was hit, sold out of it, booked a $459 profit. Okay, phenomenal, phenomenal trade. Now this is very similar to what we just talked about on Facebook. I mean, we triggered in on the 22nd, we were out on the 3rd, and we never took any heat on that trade. I wish every trade was that quick and easy. It's just that, it's not the case. But when they happen, it's definitely something that I want to be involved in. Okay, so as you can see, you don't need a $50,000 account to take these trades. We're talking about a couple $100 and a couple of minutes a day, and you can see the power start to kick in. Now, if I scroll forward, let's take a look at a couple of trades that didn't actually work out the way that we expected. We actually didn't hit full target. We got another long setup here. This was early October. Okay, we got another long trade to trigger in. We bought another call option for $278 per contract. Okay, and we just entered the trade as soon as our entry price was hit. Now, once we hit first target, the stop, you'll notice the stop goes from the full level. We move it up to break even. Okay, once we start to break up into more profit, we break up above the first target, we start to initiate a trailing stop. Okay, so as we start to move into profit, we're going to be smart about it. We're not going to let a decent winner pull all the way back on us and turn it into a losing trade. The calculator is smart enough to know when to move that stop up. Now, we ended up getting taken out of this trade. Okay, it was a partial winner. We didn't hit full target. We were still able to book another $200 worth of profit, or a 76% return. Okay, I love these trades. I love it when these trades, you can kind of see the power of the system, because ultimately, when we got into this trade, we were expecting to get up to that 57.70 level. That was where our second target was at, all the way up here at the green dots. We didn't hit it, and we were still able to make a really nice profit. Now, on the following trade, on the short side, here's another one. Did not hit full target, but we were able to hit our money management level, the first target, so our stop went down to break even. We started to break through that first target, which you can see here. As a result, we moved the stop down even further, and then we were taken out. Partial winner, did not play out as expected. We were still able to book a small $50 profit. Okay, for me as a trader, that's what I want to see. I want to see how a system responds when things don't go according to plan. And now we're currently in a short setup here today. At the moment, we're looking for a full target down near that 42 level. So if the market continues to sell off, if we get another sell off this afternoon, we'll be sitting pretty good here on the Twitter position. Okay, what about Tesla? We've already talked about Tesla here today. I wish I could talk about this stock from experience using their products, but with Brian, I need a little more profit out of my trading before I can buy a Tesla. So if we go back to the last short trade that was completed, we're actually going to take this a step further. We've talked about weekly options. We've talked about the monthly options. Now we're going to talk about the vertical spreads. Okay, the reason I love trading options, again, the flexibility that is there with these products. If I'm a little uncertain on market direction, okay, if I want to take a trade but I don't want as much risk, I want to take it with a little safer approach, what type of trades could I take? Well, on this Tesla trade, again, the system remains the same. We still have our calculator giving us our exact entry points, exact targets, and exact stops. We're still looking at a range chart. We're looking at a range of 3.64. Tesla's a $200 product, so we've got to use a larger range setting than we were using on Twitter and Facebook. Now, on this short trade, based on the setups that we've already talked about, could we just go ahead and buy a long put? Well, we could. But it's going to be more expensive because we're looking at a $200 stock. The options are more expensive. Okay, what if I wanted to take a safer approach? Well, a vertical spread, what I did here is I went out to November and I put on the November 250, 235 put spread. What that means is I'm buying the November 250 put. At the same time, I'm selling the 235 put to help offset the cost, some of the cost of the trade. So I put this trade on for $730. Okay, so for $730, I still have control of 100 shares of Tesla stock. Even though it's a spread, we're still controlling 100 shares of stock. Okay, now we went down and hit full target. I booked close to a $300 profit. That's a 40% return. So the key here, on some of the previous trades, we're talking about 120% winners, 200% winners. By putting on the put spread, if we're able to lower our costs, some people say, Mike, why wouldn't you do that on every trade? Well, the trade-off there is we're giving up some profit potential. Okay, and on these trades that win, we're taking it with a safer type of trade, but we're not going to see the home run returns. Okay, which in a lot of cases on these high-priced stocks that can make large swings very quickly, I like that safe approach. I'm not going to complain about a 40% winner when it's a very safe position. Now, I also went out further in time. Instead of trading a weekly option, I went all the way out to November. Okay, options, there's weekly options and then there's monthly cycles as well. Well, I went out to November. So this is definitely a safer play. Now, looking at this setup, you would say, well, why did you do that, Mike? If you just bought a long put, you could have made a lot more money. Well, hindsight's always 20/20. At the time of this trade, I didn't know it was going to go straight down to target. I was a little uncertain of the market at that point. Tesla's been up until the last couple of weeks, it's been a very strong name this year, so I was a little hesitant playing the downside. So I put on a safer position. I protected some of my profits from earlier in the year, and I was still able to book a really nice winner. Okay, that's the power of these positions. And now we're currently in another trade, and we're in another short position, seeing how that plays out here over the next couple of days. Okay, let's take a look at LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn, another product that many of us in here are probably familiar with. The reason I want to take a look at LinkedIn, and we're going to go back to this short setup. Now that we've talked about long calls, long puts, and we've talked about vertical spreads, let's do a comparison. Okay, let's take a look at this short setup. What would happen if we bought a long put, and what would happen if we bought a long put spread? Okay, let's start out with the put spread. Okay, if we went out and bought the November 200 190 put spread for $4, okay, that's buying the November 200 put, that's selling the 190 put at the same time to help offset some of the cost. That's going to tie up about $400 per spread. Okay, so $400, we're controlling 100 shares of stock. Move to the downside, obviously you can see we hit target, and it gave us a $165 profit or a 41% return. Really, really nice trade. Now let's compare that same setup. Instead of taking it with a long put spread, what if we bought just a long put? Okay, you can see the percentage return, pretty darn close, But look at how much capital this tied up by just buying the long put. By buying the November 205 put, we're tying up close to $1,400 per contract. So by using the put spread as opposed to the long put, we're able to get in for a third of the cost. So we're tying up less capital. All of a sudden, those of you with a smaller account size, you may not be able to afford $1,400 per contract to buy a put, but you can afford $400 to put on a put spread. Now, when you look at the percentages, again, did we give up that much by putting on the put spread as opposed to the put? No, about 14%. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a fair trade-off for many people because you tied up a lot less capital. That allows you to put on more types of positions on other products. You can diversify more. Okay, that's where a lot of people struggle. They have so much of their capital tied up in one or two positions, when if you utilize these options, you're getting in for a couple $100, you can spread your capital across more products. The more diversification you can get, the better your results are going to be long term. Okay, so LinkedIn, this was a trade that we just closed out here, and we hit target on the 13th. Okay, and we just got taken out of another short trade here today at break even. Okay, so no harm done on the short trade. Did not hit, it's gotten a little choppy here on LinkedIn. You know, we've got earnings coming up, so no surprise it got choppy. Well, worst case scenario here, you know, we were out at break even. Okay, not too shabby. All right, quickly here on Priceline. Don't have a ton of time to cover this one in detail, but I wanted to give an example of a product here on Priceline where we're talking about an $1,100 stock. Okay, this is a very pricey stock. You know, unless you've got a larger account size, it's going to be very difficult to take trades on this one. Okay, but I'm showing you here a couple examples where we can use the put spreads, like we talked about, you know, a couple of the previous stocks. Okay, you can put on a put spread, control 100 shares of $1,000, you know, an $1,100 stock here on Priceline, and we can do so for $1,400. Okay, that's that leverage that we talked about. Now, on this short trade here on the put spread, it wasn't the smoothest ride down the target. But again, the calculator gave us the exact entry points, the exact targets, the exact stops. There's no pressure here on us to, you know, to pick the exact top and bottom. We know exactly where we're trying to get in and out. So on this put spread, 61% return, $900 profit. On the next short trade, $1,100 of profit, 81% return. So the cool part about it is if you start to build your account size, or if you're someone that has a larger amount of money to work with, you can really start to get creative on some of the really expensive stocks. You're not limited to looking at ETFs and lower price individual equities. You can look at these high flyers. Okay, I know I'm running out of time. You know, we talked about Apple earlier in the week. We've talked about Amazon, another $300 winner here on Amazon. Another $500 winner here on the downside, a couple of short trades that we took, one with a long put, one with a put spread. Again, just goes back to the flexibility. Now, why did I choose these specific strategies for these plays? How do I know whether to play the weekly options or the monthly options, the long put or the long put spread? What we've done is we've put everything together into a checklist. So you know when you get a setup here on Priceline or Amazon, we can go right to that checklist and know exactly how to piece together a put spread, how to know whether to choose the weekly or the monthly option. Okay, there's definitely a playbook that we go to reference so we know exactly what to do when we get these trades. Okay, now the market, again, it's been very active here lately. Just to show you some quick numbers, this is performance reports going back into April. This is Twitter. You know, you can see 5 out of the last 6 trades, winning trades. You know, we've talked about these winners. On these winning trades, we're talking about 100% winners, 80% winners. You know, there's a lot of profit potential here. We talked about Facebook. Okay, this is the past 3 months on Facebook. Okay, we've only had 3 trades, but 2 out of those 3 trades have been full winners. Okay, there's a lot of profit there. We don't have to feel the need to be in a trade every single day, because on these winning trades, we're booking hundreds of dollars worth of profit. So the names that I've showed you here today, you know, we're talking about over $5,100 of profit on these trades that have just been closed out, going back into September, early October. And we're talking about taking these trades with a 1 contract approach. We're not talking about taking 10 contracts on each trade in order to generate $5,000 profit. We're talking about taking these trades with the smallest possible position size that you can. So if you're able to take larger position sizes, you can start to do the math in your head. There's a lot of profit potential there. Okay, so these are some of my favorite tech names. I could go on and on here. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to start to throw it back on over to Mark to wrap up the presentation. So if you have any questions on those setups, I know I had to move through those quickly. Feel free to type those in. I will be around to answer questions here at the end. So at this point, Mark, I will throw it back on over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, and hello, everybody. I know you heard from Brian earlier, and of course, Mike, given that really impressive presentation, and so I kind of want to sort of take it home from this point. You've got to be excited after you saw what Mike has shown you. I know I personally get really fired up when I see that. As somebody who has traded for a lot of years, and I'm active every day in a few different futures contracts, things like the DAX futures and the Russell E Mini and crude and unleaded gas, and also Forex, Euro US, Pound US, etc. I mean, honestly, they're kind of boring when you think about what you're ultimately trading. I mean, I'm basically trading a chart. I'm not that excited about what happened to the Euro US. It's not that interesting, really, for me to know exactly why, unleaded gas went up or down today. Kind of boring. But when it comes to trading these type of stocks, it's exciting. There's just no way that if you're involved in trading things like Netflix, Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Priceline, Apple, there's so much news that goes behind it, whether it's products, services, etc. We're very much technically based traders, and I'm not saying we ever get away from that, but it's a lot more fascinating when you're trading and involved in something that has this kind of sizzle, because it's just kind of neat when that earnings are coming out, or new product announcements are coming out. You're just that much more connected to it, and you probably use some of these products and services. The flip side to that, of course, is that options feels complex. It has for me. It certainly did early on in my trading career. I think that there's this artificial hurdle that's kind of put in place, and you can kind of see from what Mike's showing you today that it doesn't have to be complex. You just have to be guided the right way. You have to have the right education. You need to know which options to choose, right? You need to know what defines the right strategy to use. Mike's kind of shown you, different approaches that you can take, and like he just mentioned, knowing what to do at certain times. You're only going to get that with education. You're only going to be really an effective options trader with, of course, the great system, trading the right stocks, having the right indicators, but you also need to have that overall education. And that's really why we developed the Options Mastery Program. This is why we put this also into our Premier Trader University brand, because this is truly about combining system with education with ongoing support. It's those three key elements, and doing it very quickly. I think you guys can see from what Mike's laying out to you, whether you're experienced or not, it's got to feel reachable, right? When you see what he shows you, you have to start thinking, what, I can do this. I just need to know enough about, how to choose and what trades to take, and that's something that I can accomplish. So let me tell you and take you through how it works when you enroll in the Options Mastery Program. The whole idea, of course, number one, is we never wanted this just to be education. We wanted to make sure that there was a real trading system behind this, and we took out one of our best trading systems inside the university, and Mike has basically implemented it for options trading. So you will get all the software, the indicators, and everything. You will get taught over a couple days, and I'll talk about these more in details in a moment. I'm going to talk a lot about the ongoing, because that's so critical, and so many educators and trading firms, they forget this part. It's not, you can't just provide traders like all of you software and expect people to have it mastered. So let's kind of get into some of the details about this as we go along. Number one is the 2-day live training. This is the type of thing you just can't find anywhere, because you're not going to be learning hypotheticals and theoreticals. You're not going to be getting, this out of a book. You're going to be learning from Mike, who's actually been, walking this for years, has been doing this for years. This has been his bread and butter for years, a key component, if not all of the component over time, of his main income source. And I know he's talked about that, how he has to have consistency in his trading because he relies on this. Now, you're going to be taught over those 2 days, of course, the different option strategies that we deploy, because we don't always have the opportunity to be completely directional, right? Markets aren't always kind of in that, one way or nothing kind of movement. So it's very important that you guys have the flexibility overall to adapt to various market conditions. More important, I think, is you can attend this all virtually. So don't worry about having to travel. Don't worry about hotels and error and Ebola and whatever else you're all worried about. It's not a problem. You can be safe and sound in your home or office. Everything gets recorded. But it's an amazing 2 days. And we've done this now, I think, 2 different times, maybe 3 on Options Mastery. And people just get so much out of this, okay? You're going to learn all the core strategies that you see on the screen. I know some sound like, the cool thing is Mike showed you about spreads today, but, straddle, strangles, iron condors, they come up with all these funky names in options. But the bottom line is we're going to teach you and show you how to turn the mechanical system, but kind of make it better. Having the skills to know the different strategies that you can use. All of this gets taught in the 2 days. And more importantly, too, is we want to make sure that when we give you this great software, yes, it's very powerful, but you kind of need to know how to wield it. It's really important that you know how to fire it, right? You have to have some training. So we will take you through the settings, the setup types, the rules, the time frames. Again, this is all compressed into 2 days because we're not about fluff. We're not about just kind of filling your mind with things that are useless. We're only going to teach what you need to actually be able to execute trades in the market. Now, this is one of the elements that I think a lot of times you maybe didn't get, and this is the ongoing. It's very difficult to just learn a system and then trade it 100% successfully on your own. So a really key component that we build in to the university is the ongoing side. So when you finish the class, it's not like you're just on your own. Right? I mean, when you become, a doctor, I'm not saying you guys are going to become doctors, but let's say a doctor of options, you have to do an internship. You have to have on-the-job training. You have to have mentorship. It is important to have that in trading. So Mike holds 3 live weekly Q&A calls, okay? He records these, so if the schedule doesn't work for you ideally, not a big deal. And this is where you get to see trades as they happen. So imagine being able to see that price line trade when it first executes and the proper call or spread is taken, that next Apple trade that is taken, etc., LinkedIn, Amazon, etc. It really will make everything fall into place. And without a question, you're going to have your own questions. Well, there's nothing more frustrating, I think, as a trader, not to know where to get your answers and having to search that out on your own. You start to lose confidence. You start to get nervous and you get a lot of anxiety. Well, that does not have to happen because you'll have membership in the Owners Club. We'll initially give you 2 months in the Owners Club, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit how you can get more than that. But you'll be able to literally interact with Mike one-on-one. It's not outsourced to somebody else. It's not like an email you got to send to some box that's never monitored. I mean, you literally will have the opportunity to take his time because his time is your time. I just can't even stress enough how important the ongoing is. It will make you a professional trader, okay? Now, I know some of you will come in really having a good amount of experience with options, and some of you will come into the Options Mastery with not a lot of experience. And that's okay. There's no wrong answer. Mike put together his Stock Options 101. So as soon as you enroll, you'll have complete access to this. We would like you to go through this if you don't have a lot of experience before the live classes, because it will get you kind of on the same page and you'll be able to talk about Greeks and implied volatility. You'll sound really smart, needless to say. It can be great in a bar, but in all seriousness, it's going to really put you on the same page as everybody else, and you will get a lot more out of the 2 days. It's even great review if you've already been trading options. Now, I mentioned the Owners Club. It says 30 days here. We do bump it to 60 days. I'll show you where in a moment. But I can't stress enough how important this is, but there's a couple other sort of secret elements in the Owners Club that you're going to really want to be a part of. And one of those is the fact that every single month, Mike updates the trade plans. Okay, he makes sure that these are finely tuned for all the markets. It takes him a long time. He disappears into the trading lab, and he doesn't come out until this is done. But this is work that all of you do not have to do. And we already mentioned over 20 tested trade plans. I'll show you a list of those in a moment. So you get the live, you get the ongoing, you get the interactivity, you get the great trade plans, you'll get new trade plans as they come out, but most important maybe, you get all the updates. And then if you're somebody who would like to do some of that updating yourself, we also make some software available to you which will enable automation of the development of trade plans. You may never want to do that. It may not be something you're interested in, but if you are, that's another really cool component that we have in here. Now, there is a monthly after your free time ends at $97 a month, but you can see the value is quite strong overall. Speaking of trade plans, realize this is not just a list of things that we go, hey, these are really good to trade with options. A trade plan for us is everything down to the specific type of chart, size of the range bars you use, the exact settings that you use, anything special, what strategies you use. This is really critical. Anybody can say, hey, go trade options on Netflix. It moves a lot. No, no, no. That's not what we tell you. Yeah, there's volatility there, but not always. But it's every layer below that to how to actually effectively, down to the exact entry, target area, stop areas, option choice. That's really where the secret is. That's really where the magic is. So don't ever let anybody say, oh, here's a list of stocks that are really good to trade options. That's not nearly enough to be successful. We talked about results. Mike showed you a lot of great results. He gave me September results, which was just super impressive because 22 out of 25 trades had profitability. There were, of course, some losses in there, but by and large, profitable trades. And you had a really nice range of returns from 32% up to about, I think, like 89% on premium. There's times we'll go above 100%. It all just depends upon market volatility. But you can also see here, if you go on the bot column, there's a lot that are very affordable for any account size. To trade a single contract of some of these was $185, $263. They don't all have to be over $1,000. So keep that in mind. Really, really cool. Now, everybody gets, for being here in the live webinar, the bonus pack, which is number one, Mike will offer you 2 private one-on-one personal coaching sessions. I mean, this is why we limit the number of people in here, and you'll see that in a moment, because he can only give so many hours up of his time. I'll double up the time of the Owners Club. That's how I got you to the 60 days. And we're giving everybody $200 off. This is only the NetPicks family that's been invited to this webinar, so you all get that discount rebate. All right, so the bad news is we started Tuesday with 35 spots. We have 18 people that have enrolled. That's when I updated this early this morning. I don't know, maybe another seat or two is gone. So we're down to 17 seats. All right, I mentioned that this starts at the end of the month. I think I mentioned that October 30th, 31st. The seats will fill. It will be gone. We're only doing 2 more webinars anyway. We don't do a lot of webinars with this because it fills quickly and it's a very small personalized class. So I do want to encourage you and urge you and motivate you to get yourself registered. Now, quick recap before we go into what it's going to cost. And do not have a heart attack. It will not cost $5,879. But I do want to stress that you are getting a lot with this program. You get the fully developed software, all of the indicators. You get all the trade plans. You get the automated trade assist for trade plan development, the 2-day live training, including having that all archived and recorded for you, the Options 101, the amazing ongoing live Q&A, the monthly updates of the trade plans, the Owners Club we talked about, a tremendous value. And honestly, if you paid $58.79, it would be a hell of a great investment for you. It really, really would. Obviously, I'm biased, but I've seen enough people go through this already that you would have a very positive ROI on that. The good news is it won't cost that. Now, in today's webinar, we're only doing 1 today. We're going to offer the first 7. We're going to bump you guys up to Lifetime Owners Club. So when the link comes up, you can go ahead and get yourself in there. We have 500, I think it was 572 people registered for the webinar today. So these typically go very quickly. You'll save $1,164 in the first year. That's a lot of savings, right? I mean, that's directly back into your pocket and can stay in your account. Okay, so keep that in mind. Next, there is a money-back guarantee. We are 100% completely confident in the training, the software, the trade plans, and that you will be successful if you follow the program. So we will offer a 45-day, any reason you can return it. The downside for you is if you return it, it gets turned off. It doesn't work. So that's our protection. But I want you to understand that your risk today is literally 0. I mean, there is no risk. You get to go through the education, get the software, get the training, and you have this guarantee backing you up. We've been around for 18 years. That's our guarantee. I don't see any reason why you'd want to take advantage of it, but if I'm in your shoes, it's nice to know that it's there, okay? So what is the investment? I think the investment here is entirely reasonable, affordable, and you guys can quickly get an ROI this time. So one time with the $200 discount, own it for life, it's $12.97. If it's easier for you to start with a payment plan, then just do the 3-pay and start at $497. Do it 3 times, and you own it for life. If you're one of the first 7, you guys will actually also have Owners Club for life. So you'll have the trade plans, you'll have the monthly updates, you'll have all the live sessions, you'll have everything you could possibly want. And all you have to do to get that and to get enrolled is netpicks.com/options. I know Brian's probably put into the chat area a link that you can click, as well as our contact details. I just have to encourage you. I know it's an investment, and I know sometimes you need to think about things. I have a feeling that there's been some people who were at our Tuesday webinar who thought about it, who came to this one for this reason. So I'm sure you guys are in there signing up. You don't have any risk. I think you can see what is possible here. This is education that you're going to love. We've been doing this, NetPicks started with options. Here we are 18 plus years later, and we're still doing options. That should tell you something. This is not just the hot thing of the moment. This isn't just something that's in vogue today. This is going to be being traded just like this a year from now, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. This is a skill, though, that takes a little bit of time to master, and you have to have the education to do that. So keep that in mind. I already mentioned the guarantee. I do want to stress to you guys that we do have amazing support. I hope you feel that. I hope you see just from today with the number of coaches that are here that we're here for you, that we're here for you after the fact, that we just don't deliver a course to you. It thuds on your doorstep and we're done with you. The fact that we have all this ongoing, I think should show you, and I hope it demonstrates to you, that we have a lot of commitment to your success as well. Not just trying to train you and hoping that you do okay. We train you and we support you and we do our best to hold your hand through every step. We really, really do. And I think the community does too. I think you'll be really impressed with the other students that will become part of this program. So keep that in mind as well. I can bring the link back up if you missed the free system on Tuesday in a moment, but I want to make sure that I stress to you guys now would be a great time to ask any of the closing questions that you have. I have a feeling Mike's probably been answering, and Brian and Ron, etc. So we're probably fairly caught up. I'll look at that in a moment. But just, if there's still something lingering, if you're still on the fence, you just got to have something answered. This would be the time to do it because, how often do you get a big part of the team here for you? So number one, I encourage you to get yourself enrolled. But number two, I would say definitely go ahead and ask any final questions you have. Let me also put some contact info up on the screen because I stress we're real people. We're just like you guys. We're individuals. We're traders. We have no problem chatting with you. If you have some specific questions, if you want to talk to Mike, etc., before you make your ultimate decision, that's perfectly fine. We'd be more than happy to answer those. Even if you've enrolled and you've got some questions, great too. So I've got phone numbers here. I've got emails here. You can chat with us online. Whatever's best for you, ultimately, is the way it would work. So let me look and see if there's any questions that have come in. Let's see, is it best to do forex or options when starting capital is $3,000? So in your case, the person that answered that, you've really got your right of choice. I think some of it may have a little bit to do with schedule and what sounds more appealing to you, what will motivate you more. Does forex sound more exciting to you, or does trading like the kind of stocks we showed you today sound more exciting? I mean, one of them probably is speaking to you more than the other. The second thing is that $3,000, you're going to want to focus on the options that are more in range, meaning, no, don't do the $1,500 option contract, but do the ones like Mike showed you where it's $100, $200, $300, and expect to build up your account over time. That's really kind of key. So that would be my answer on that one. There's a question here. You did not talk about the tax-free Roth IRA accounts. Any info on that? I'm not a tax guy. I know Brian's here. Brian's more of a tax guy-ish than I am. I don't know, Brian, was there anything that you talked about in the beginning where you mentioned that, or you were going to come back to that? I'm not sure. I didn't hear the early part.
No, that's a topic we really didn't get into. So again, it's not a topic we offer advice on. You'll need to seek out your own tax advisor on that.
One cool thing about options, again, not being a tax guy, is the reporting is quite easy, especially these days. The reports the brokers give you, it's quite simple overall to report your trades. I remember years ago, oh my God, it was crazy. You had to like literally type in every single trade you took over the year, but those days, thank God, are over. But there's definitely some advantages there, and I think the Roth IRA, without being tax guys, there are some things that you can take advantage of there. I do want to say that 5 of the 7 spots are taken courtesy Arkesh K, Daryl S, Richard C, Dwayne B. You are in the 5 of the 7 so far in the lifetime, so hopefully there's a couple more people that are getting their orders in, and I'll be able to read your name off and confirm that you got in on the 7. Let me see. Oh, unfortunately, I meant to show this. Thinkorswim. We do fully support Thinkorswim now, in addition to NinjaTrader and TradeStation. Apologize, I think I skipped over that slide really fast since we were trying to get this wrapped up. But that's the first time.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can I show my charts one more time, and I can show a quick shot of the Thinkorswim and Ninja?
I'm going to hand it right back to you. So yeah, this is pretty exciting for us because we've never been able to support Thinkorswim. We know it's super popular with options traders, so we're pretty pumped up about this. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. There's been a ton of requests for it. I love it too because I'm a big Thinkorswim user. As you can see here on the chart, everything looks very similar. You're still going to see the custom trade calculator. Coach Will has done a phenomenal job programming this. It's been a lot of work to get done. And to be honest, I have not seen any type of Thinkorswim indicator that looks anything close to this. Any type of a custom trade calculator, I think it's super powerful. So if you're a Thinkorswim user, you'll definitely be able to use the indicators. They'll be out and ready to go for our 2-day class coming up here in a couple of weeks. If you're a Ninja user, let me pull that up real quick too. You can see here on the Ninja chart, it's just a white background, looks slightly different as far as the colors go, but the indicators, the calculator, everything is exactly the same. So if you're a Ninja user, that's just fine too. Really, it doesn't matter to us which platform you choose. The system is going to be exactly the same, so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you if you're on a different platform than the TradeStation platform that I was showing earlier.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. It gives people a lot of opportunity, and we knew that the TOS was the biggest thing that people were requesting, so I'm sure some people here are like, yes, finally. Let's see, was the Tuesday webinar? Yeah, Tuesday what we did is we presented the free system as well, and I don't mind giving you guys the link in case you missed that. Here's the link on that. Feel free to grab that, and you've got the URL there, and you've got to have the password as well. And Mike also went into more detail specifically on this part of the system, which is one small component of what you'll get as part of the options mastery. So it's a nice taste and a good tease, and it's going to leave you wanting a lot more. But it's certainly something that you should take advantage of for sure, especially if you're just starting to dive into this. You'll get a pretty good quick feel of what can really be done when you trade this way. So that's kind of what we did Tuesday. And there are replays that are available. You can always contact us if you want to see the replay. You don't need to listen to the back part of it when I'm presenting on the university because you've already heard that here today. But Mike's demo you can certainly go through. So just kind of realize that. Yeah, the e-signal question was answered there by Will, so you got that taken care of on the platforms that we support. You can trade at any broker, by the way, any options broker that you guys like, Options Express, Ameritrade, Thinkorswim, TradeStation, whatever. It doesn't matter to us. We don't dictate where you actually trade. All we want you to do is use one of the professional charting platforms that we know will give you the kind of data that you need, that the indicators will work perfectly, that everything will plot the way it does so you can make the right decisions. Don't ever let platform, I hope you don't, become a reason you do or do not do something, because it just would be a shame not to take advantage of something just because you're like, well, I'm on e-signal. To me, it's kind of like, so what? I was on e-signal. I think I still pay them a subscription. But it's not going to ever hold me back from trading on a platform where I want to trade it with a certain style. So, just something I would encourage you all to kind of think about. So I think I'm going to do one final call out for any questions, anything lingering. This would be a good time to ask. Let's see, quick question: is the 3-pay supposed to be? Yeah, the 3-pay is a little bit more. Yes, than the. We do give you a discount if you do the full pay. The 3-pay ends up being basically what the price was before the $200 rebate, so the $14.97 approximately divided by 3. And then if you do the full pay, the $12.97, you get the roughly $200 discount. Also, I should mention, if you are already have enrolled and were a full student in the Premier Trader University, and if you were, you knew who you were or who you are, we do have a special link. So if you were ready to go and you wanted to enroll, you can go ahead and message us here, and Will or Brian or Ron can send you a special link. You do get a pretty significant discount overall, not for just if you just own Trend Jumper, but if you were part of the full university or the full university upgrade, then that is something that you guys also can get. If for some reason you enrolled and you paid the full price, just contact us and we'll credit you back the difference. All right. I see Will's answered the Trend Jumper question. No, the free system does not work with Thinkorswim. It's compatible on TS and Ninja, so TradeStation and Ninja. For right now, you'll get the options, the software for Thinkorswim part of the options mastery. Since it's all the first time introducing it, we wanted to make sure that the people in the class get that before anybody. So there's somebody there. I'm sure Ron or Brian or Will see you. You're interested in a full PTU customer, so they should message you here in a moment. Or Brian's got his email. I don't know, Brian, maybe you can just give him the link. It might be easier. Not compatible with MT4. Like Mike said there, it just cannot handle this level of complexity. You can force MT4 to do range bars, but it doesn't do it as effectively as any of the other platforms will. So we just kind of had to draw a line in the sand in this case. All right, so kind of be aware of that on that overall. Let me see if any other questions have popped in. I think that's about it. Let me also put up the contact info one final time for all of you guys, just so you have it. Feel free to contact us if you've got any questions or run into any issues. Do want to congratulate the people who have enrolled so far, including the people on Tuesday. Calvin J, you're also in now as well, so you'll have the lifetime, so congrats to you as well. And Mike, any closing comments before we wrap it up?
Well, thanks again to everybody for joining us today. A lot of people signed up. Really looking forward to working with you guys over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. We're in for a great stretch here. The markets just continue to be really active. Again, we showed for $5,000 of profit here just on recent trades, just on a handful of our favorite products. We haven't even talked about the ETFs here, which we'll do at an upcoming webinar. Just a ton of profit to be made, so it's a perfect time to get started. You can really pay for the system very quickly. So congratulations again to those of you that signed up, and we'll see you in the live training.
Super. Thanks a lot, Mike, and appreciate Brian, excuse me, and Ron and Will. Somebody was asking for the cost. It was away for a moment, so here's the cost. It's $12.97 or 3-pay at $4.97 to answer your question. So let me go ahead and put this back. Yeah, and definitely big thanks for me as well. Appreciate everybody's time. Looks like tons of great questions. It was a pretty exciting presentation. It was really a lot of fun to see those hot names be traded, and really excited to see how well Mike is doing. And I know he's excited to get you guys going. So that's it. So thanks everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Good trading, and I'm sure we'll talk to all of you real soon.